interior designer.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, and color psychologist. Yeah, I know it's not like a very
Yeah, otherwise people will come after us and it's gonna
yeah,
be
this is a little more specific. That is some accomplishments there. I feel I'm intimidated here. Wow, god damn.
you didn't expect that we're gonna get into the science and the boring parts.
No, especially just like I'll say, God, you're gonna make me question every color that I have around like all my surroundings.
Why do I wear this today? Why am I attracted to
Yeah.
this today?
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another special edition to the Rated G podcast. I'm your host, G. Derado. If you are new here, welcome to the show. And for those of you who are coming back, welcome back. Here on the podcast, I frequently like to have a sit down with friends, new friends, fellow artists, crafters, makers, creative entrepreneurs, performers, and I try to, we just try to help promote each other's art, our brands, and while doing so, we engage on conversations, and we just talk about all things related to art and creativity, as well as like other topics, other things in life. So if this is the type of content that you enjoy, please be sure to hit that follow, subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you can keep up with the most recent uploads. And if you want to check out some of my artwork, I have it on YouTube. I have my on my social media. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. And I always provide links to my guests following. So also, if you want to check out their work, it'll all be in the show descriptions. So this is a very exciting and very interesting sort of topic for me. My guest is an interior designer and a color psychologist, which is very interesting for me personally because I am very much drawn to certain color palettes and whatnot, and even sometimes the opposite of color palettes I use. So it's just like a thing I've been discovering lately. But I would like for you guys, everyone, to welcome for the first time Mehnaz Khan. Yes, welcome.
Thank you, G. Torado.
I was very flattered by your interest on being on the podcast because I've seen on from your resume some of other appearances you've had, and they're much more formal than my platform. So I was like, oh, I don't, it's like, you're such a, I heard you sent me a voice message, and just you're such a warm, pleasant, I don't know how else to describe it, but I was like, I don't know, like I felt like because of my profanity use and stuff, and I wasn't sure if I just wasn't sure how it'd come off, face to face. So I was like just very conscious of like what you knew, if you knew what you're getting yourself into, if that.
I
Because
mean, you did let me know, and maybe I don't know, but I would love to share what I am good at.
sure.
And I think that's the purpose. And we're all different, we're all unique. So I know to accept different people. So I think that's the
Cool.
best, right?
Awesome. And I mean, you're in New York, correct?
I'm in upstate New York.
Okay, upstate. Yeah. So I mean, you know what New Jerseyans are like.
Yeah, I went to college in New York City. So
Yeah, exactly. New York. So you get
yeah,
it.
totally.
I don't know. I think because of living here in Richmond, Virginia, it is a different vibe. So
Okay.
not that it's a bad thing, but I'm like, oh, like sometimes I find myself being more intense. So I don't know. So anyway.
Well, funny enough, we're going to Arlington, Virginia this weekend.
I have no idea where that
Oh my
is.
God. Okay. Is Virginia that big?
I don't know. I'm still very much a tourist here. Like I'm still
Okay.
learning the areas. Like we're in the city. So I mean I could always just look it up and see how far it is from here, but I'm only really I'm still like seeing a lot of the city, and Charlottesville is another area that I'm starting to get familiar with because of events that I'm doing over there. But
Okay.
yeah, yeah, I'll have to check it out. I'll have to look it up and see where that's at. What's going on over there though?
So my 10th grader is participating in the National History Bowl and Bee competition. So that's the national level is happening over there in Virginia, in
Oh,
Arlington. So that's what's taking us there.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
They sound familiar, but I can't say I've been there in that area specifically.
Okay.
So
Should be
yeah.
like, if it's a big thing, it's a big national event,
Mm.
probably should be in a
I'm
popular place.
I'm also very much like under the rock too.
Okay. Oh, that sounds like me.
Like I don't know, like what I know, and then like as compared to like the common person would know is like it ranges. Like you will start discovering like what I really like to have like in-depth conversations about
Okay.
through this podcast, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. And that's what I love about at least this platform and what it offers is that the conversations can go any way, any route. Obviously we still, we always circle back to our
Yeah.
passion and arts and whatnot, but there's like so many things in our lives that like inspired or have influenced like the thing that we are pursuing.
Absolutely.
So I've been very much just like kind of making a lot of connection with that as of late. So I do like, yeah, I sometimes like to remind the audience like, yeah, we like to keep it fun, but sometimes we kind of go deep on certain topics, but we at the end of the day we do like to have fun on here,
Yeah.
have some laughs and whatnot, because I'm goofy, so
Well, I like to go deep.
yeah, it's fun, especially when you're on, you know when you're on the THC. It's very but I don't know what the word I'm looking for right now, but I don't know, it's very engaging for me. So yeah, um, where should we start first? Interior designing or the color psychology? Because yeah, that's a very like you're the first person I've really had a sit down like on this related topic.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Colors. Let's start there with color
Yeah,
psychology. It will
sure.
definitely, it has been a new topic for most people when I speak to them. And that's why I was like, doesn't matter if your style is different. We got to introduce this because it's super important. And we will definitely talk about why there is a lack of awareness too.
Okay. Well, so how about this? This is actually what I usually do. Would you mind just describing your background in the arts for the audience who are
In the
discovering you for
arts.
the first time? Yeah.
Okay. Very unconventional. Interior design is definitely a second career for me. To be very unconventional. Okay. So I went to college, and when I say college, for my bachelor's degree, 4 years bachelor's degree is in computer science. So I have a bachelor's of science in computer science. I have a master's of science in computer science, and I have an MBA. Okay. So there's no art anywhere around.
Mhm.
And after my MBA, that was a time where I was like, okay, I need to be fully home. I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. And I had 3 children by that time. I wanted to be home with my kids. So when I had that gap, and then when my youngest turned 3, that's when I was like, I want to go back. I can go back into the career. And I was like, I'm already this many years behind. It's kind of starting again, especially when you're in the computer science industry where everything changes in a second.
Mhm.
So definitely I was blessed that I decided that this is not what I want to do. I started painting during that time. And it's something now when I look back in time, I always had it. I was always sort of creating something, painting, some sort of painting, except that I never painted on canvas when I was younger, a young girl or a teenager. My mother would never buy me a canvas.
Mhm.
It was too like it wasn't functional for her. So I did fabric painting, glass painting. I would paint glasses and mirrors and windows and fabric and silk painting, all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of very obvious that's what my interest was, but that's not what I pursued. Anyway, so after that point, and we're in somewhere 2017, 2018, and that's how I got into painting and then wanted to learn more. Obviously, YouTube is great, and then took some classes, worked one-on-one with an artist in my area at that time, and then got into colors, started understanding what this color was and why did it make me feel better and good and sometimes sad, and jumped into color psychology, studied with a color psychology specialist in the UK. And then I went on into interior design and then pursued my certification and became a certified interior designer. So that's kind of my experience or journey.
Oh, damn. That is some accomplishments there. I feel I'm intimidated here. My God. No, that's wonderful. But yeah, I think I'm feeling the pressure now.
Okay, no pressure. I'm still discovering myself, right?
No,
So
that's
just to
wonderful.
say, like, you don't have to be, I mean, we live in a time where you don't have to have a fixed career. I tell my 10th grader he's going into college in 2 years. I was like, what am I going to do? It's okay. You're going to figure it out. You're going to do something and then do again something and something.
No, that's absolutely true. Like I'm just like I've always stuck with art for the most part. Like during my teens, like I was experimenting with music a little bit, or self-taught how to play guitar and stuff. But always stuck with the drawing, and like I got an animation degree at the Art Institute, a bachelor's I should say a bachelor's degree in media arts and animation from the Art Institute of Philadelphia, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
But
there was a thing like that. Wow.
yeah, yeah, I forget. I don't yeah, I can't recall when it went down, but yeah, I didn't pursue the animation. I did like some small things um for clients, but I don't know. It was just hard to keep up software and stuff. It was just expensive, and then I just found myself enjoying creating still art, and it actually started with um doing zombie art. Like is when I started making money making like creating art. It's like people liked my zombie drawings, and
See, who knew?
Walking Dead was popping at the time, so I was like, all right, I guess my niche is gonna be zombifying. And then went from and it was that it was absolutely a fun journey, because the clients that come up to you with these ideas, it's like, oh shit, okay. Yeah. I've zombified babies, dogs,
Oh,
cats.
okay.
Yeah, like I've done full family portraits zombified. So it's been a fun, like, process and journey. But then I just had to like expand and try to get more clients, because it got to a point where like I have an LLC now, so it's like everything now is all like I don't even want to get to the business side of it yet, but yeah, that's kind of how I started myself. But I always worked with traditional mediums. Um, so with the interior design, how long like have you been working as an interior designer?
4 years now.
Okay, nice.
It's good for
Now,
you, still emerging.
I will say back in college, I did enjoy seeing in their display like I don't know what display cabinets, like in our building, or even down the hall sometimes. You get off the elevator and you would see in the display cases a lot of the interior design work, um as far as
Like their sketches or
yeah, and just like
okay, yeah,
furniture and stuff, and just like really cool, like just
decorative
like the
work.
aesthetic, and like style, design, all of that. It was like really fascinating to see. It was like really inspiring. Like, 'cause it was just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to really quite articulate it, but it was really cool to see. So, but I had never really, yeah, I never really got to talk in depth about interior design. Um, like, do you think it requires like a certain eye, to pursue that?
It does require a certain eye, but you can train yourself. I think so. There's
Yeah.
definitely not just an eye is not enough. Uh, Training, because there are some rules, and then you need to know the rules to break the rules.
Hmm.
So if you have an interest, I think the most important thing is that you are interested in it. Because again, like any business, anything you do, there is the fun part is very little, and everything else is what you have to do to just make it sustainable.
Mm.
So one reason, which is really weird, I had to get my certification. I wanted to. I'm kind of a nerd also with all those degrees. I have
Mm.
too many if you want to borrow any. I did get to point where family or relatives or friends would say, "Oh, I can do that myself." And I was like, "Okay, I need something to differentiate myself." I'm South Asian, so South Asian people will say that. Oh, I
Yeah.
can do that myself. I don't need you to do this for me. Like, oh, okay, I need to differentiate myself. I'm going to get certified. I'm going to go study. I'm going to take an exam and do all of it. Now tell me that you can do it yourself. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, hey, you're doing it. So that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm like super proud of it.
Hell yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said, a lot of accomplishments here. Like it's really admirable. So
Appreciate that.
I
Thank
guess
you.
I'm a little taken back by it because it was like so I was like, wow, this is impressive. Like that's why I'm intimidated here. Hmm. No, I'm just no, all right. So now how do you go from interior designing to the color psychology?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm all about color. You need color in your space. And I want to definitely get into the background of it, why it's important. Sometimes people just feel like, I mean, I get questions like, so every room in your home is a different color? And I'm like, yeah, I don't even know how to answer that. That's not the reason. So I got into color psychology because I felt like colors were doing something to me. Like you said, even those palettes that are not yours, you were attracted to them. And I just felt like they brought me more joy, and something is there. And having the science background or research background, especially if you have a computer, you're just trained like that. That's also one reason. So even when I'm creating design or art, I cannot go in intuitively create something. My brain just works in a process way, a systematic way, step by step.
Hmm.
So I don't know, how did that come? Yeah, so I just wanted to know what this is. I wanted to know the background about it, and I started researching, and a lot of stuff that I found, Google stuff, but then I found this person that I wanted to study with. So this is what I discovered, that colors are not just a visual stimuli, and that's what we're always told, that it's about your favorite color or it's just the property of an object and make things beautiful. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is color is light, basically. And light is what makes us see things. So if I'm looking at something on my desk, cute little thing, if I'm looking at an object, the object is reflecting light back into my eye. And like we're saying, color is not the property of the object. Your eye takes that message, that light that went in, and we measure light in terms of wavelengths. And it sends to our brain. There's a part of our brain right here. It's called the hypothalamus. And there's a computation that happens depending on that wavelength of light. And that's how our brain understands what color we're looking at. And this is also why sometimes, you say this color is like red, burgundy, maroon, and the other person is going to be like, a little bit different.
Hmm.
So when this processing happens in our brain, depending on the light that entered or the color we saw, other reactions are also triggered, which happen in the hypothalamus, such as again, mood, how we're feeling, joy, happiness, depressing. body temperature, appetite is triggered, sexual desire is triggered, there is sleep and excitement getting you pumped or feeling low. All of this is triggered. Everything happens in the hypothalamus, in even your endocrine system. So that's where color is no more a visual stimuli and it becomes psychological. Maybe a lot to handle, but you can use color in your environment to change the way you feel because of that.
I do believe in that for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that wow, god damn.
You didn't expect that we're going to get into the science and the boring part.
No, especially just like I'll say I feel confident to say this at least is that if there's any regular audience member that is listening, I can think of one person in particular. They're gonna react to my reaction because they know that I'm like way over my head on this.
Did you just tune me out?
You just blew my mind. Like I get what you
I
said,
still, yeah, no,
but
I
I was
still
like,
get blown
oh
away by it.
my.
And now onwards, every time you're going somewhere, you go into a room, a nice hotel, a restaurant, or somebody's house, or anywhere, you're gonna start feeling those differences instantly. To the
Mhm.
extent that sometimes you're in spaces, you feel physically sick, you feel anxious all of a sudden, and you're like, what's going on in my life? Why am I anxious? Is this something that I forgot to do? Is some sort of problem? But
Mm.
it's that environment because it impacts our subconscious brain. So we can get even more technical. It impacts our subconscious brain.
Oh
And that's where
boy.
anxiety and all that can happen. But oh yeah, I was saying you can feel physically sick. You can have a headache. You can
Mhm.
feel nauseating, all because of the environment and the colors in that environment.
Hmm.
So text me next time when you feel that experience. Tell me you're feeling it, good or bad.
Well, you certainly are making me aware of like my surroundings a little bit more, you
Yeah.
know. But I agree with because if I had it my way, truly, because like we live in an apartment building, but I believe if I had my own well, if I had another uh office space where I can actually change the paint on the walls and stuff, it would be painted, and I would like to keep it on a nice, like not a sky blue, but like a night like maybe like a true blue or something. But I like a nice vibrant blue, especially
Mm-hmm.
if it's in a room that has a lot of good like if
Natural
there's
light.
windows in it and the sun
Yeah,
hits that
natural.
room just right and it just kind of adds
Is
that
that your vibrant
vibrancy.
blue is your energizing color?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it just keeps me awake
Yeah,
in a
and that's what you
sense.
need to get work done.
Yeah, but
Just
unfortunately, my office I have no windows.
okay. I mean, obviously, we're restrained by the circumstances of life and lots of other things,
Yeah,
these finances. So
but
that
I
that
do try to keep other things that can kind of at least keep me motivated in some way. Like if I see some art on the walls, I'm like, I don't know, not that maybe I do need it or not, but it's like a constant reminder of like, yeah, I got some art, but I gotta make more, like kind
yeah,
of mentality thing. Almost like having your trophies up almost,
yeah.
but they're just like these like, and
So
I got like some art from other artists that keep me inspired. So, but to paint the room or like a studio, one like a nice blue would be awesome.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. But that's so interesting, right? Like that colors can affect you in such a way. Like you brought up like nauseum and all that. It's like
Yeah,
it's pretty
yeah.
crazy. So like sh should we go over like the colors that trigger certain moods or bodily
We can, we
symptoms?
can, with a disclaimer.
Sure.
We know there's so many blues out there. So if I come in,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
so we want
true.
to keep that. And I have my Sherwin-Williams paint deck here, which is always on my desk.
Well, maybe we can
There's
just
so many
break it down to
blues.
like a
So,
standard, like we'll
yeah,
just say well, how much does it vary if we're just like, yeah, just red in general, blue
yeah,
in general.
yes, of
Okay, we could do
course.
that.
Yeah, we can
But
do that.
I
So,
do
yeah, what
No,
is it?
it's I had a stupid question. It was just
Okay.
just for fun, but I was like, what do you think what was going through the minds of those that came up with Hooker Green?
I don't know what was going through their minds, but here's the thing. The way this works or
Jesus,
marketing
yeah,
works,
I
okay?
recognize those things.
Yeah.
Uh,
The thing is, Sherwin-Williams or Pantone tells you, oh, there's a color of the year every year. And you go buy that color, paint your walls every year, or you buy new furniture for every season. That's a completely different world, right? They
yeah.
make money. You keep changing your colors. They make money. And people are never satisfied. They want to go to Target and buy new stuff all the time, not knowing
Mhm.
what they really need or what their color palette is.
Yeah.
And the way we see, or for simplicity, I'm just going to say your color palette, think about the seasons. There is a shade of blue in all the four seasons: spring, summer, winter, fall. But those blues are different. So my blue is not yours, and yours is not mine. There's nothing right or wrong. It's just
Mhm.
discovering what yours is.
Right.
So
It's
these guys make
completely
a lot of
subjective.
money, and this is also why the impact, the psychological impact of color is not that commonly known, because then the big guys are not going to. It's like pharmaceutical medicine, you know. Pharmaceutical medicine makes a lot of money by a lot of things. Sometimes you don't even need those things, and that's the same way this industry is. So the lack of research, the lack of funding, because life would be totally different.
Oh yeah. My wife works in healthcare, so there's we sometimes talk about it like how just everything is money driven and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I also say that very easily because my husband's a physician too. So
Yeah.
all the stuff
Hmm.
we talk about.
Yeah. So yeah, let's discuss like, yeah, like let's cover
Basic.
the colors, the basic colors that can trigger certain let's say like I don't know, effects or symptoms or
Sure, sure.
however.
So yeah, let's start with the most popular, the blues.
Okay. Um,
So we'll just categorize them as dark blues, which are more or high intensity blue, and then low intensity blues, the light blues.
sure.
So the blue is a dark blue is stimulating, but it's blue stimulate the brain every time. So the way that wavelength of light, basically it's about those numbers, the wavelength of light. And if you look at the visible spectrum of light, blue is the lower wavelength. So that's how we go. Blue, and then we have purple, blue, green. Oh my gosh, what's our red is the last, and then you have yellow, orange, and red. Yeah, I think it's the spectrum. I haven't seen it in a while. So
Mhm.
blues are always stimulating the mind. So dark blues or high intensity blues are stimulating the mind. So really good color, like you were saying, the vibrant blue in your office is really good. And you said that you used that term that it will keep me motivated and get me working.
Yeah. That's the
As
dream right now.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the right thing to do. Just don't do it in your bedroom because then you don't want to be stimulated when it's time to go to sleep.
No, for sure. I do believe in like starting to like we have this clock that adjusts to the light to like
Color.
with the
Yeah.
sunlight. Like when the sun starts going down, it gets dimmer and whatnot. So I
Yeah.
do like believe in that kind of way of like dimming things down so you kind of tell your body starts thinking like it's almost time to go to sleep like
Right.
thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So the same way it's here because again, it's light. Light is what chooses the colors.
yeah, and I mean just light in general like if I this might be a little revealing, but when I get up in the middle of the night to go relieve myself in the bathroom, if as soon as I'm exposed to any type of light, like we have salt lamps in our living room.
Oh wow. Okay.
Once I'm exposed to that, any source of light, I'm automatically awake,
Awake,
and then a
right?
million
Yeah.
thoughts start going through my head. I'm like, oh crap. And then you could see it in my we I track with my Fitbit. So
Okay.
I like to keep track of my
Yes.
sleep quality. So you always see that last hour is like I'm when I'm awake the most. Like it's a lot of like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, like until I'm just awake and or my alarm goes off. But yeah, so as soon as I'm exposed to any sort of light, I'm just like my mind starts thinking one thing and then it just adds up. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to go back to sleep.
Yeah,
Tossing and turning. So,
absolutely. That's why they say, like, if you're awake in the middle of the night, don't look at your phone.
oh,
Like,
that for sure. Yeah.
your
And
gods.
unfortunately, my wife and I do like to fall asleep to like an old sitcom. So whether it's like Everybody Loves Raymond or Seinfeld,
Okay.
or King of Queens, like I mean, we have the sleep timer on,
Yeah.
but like just to like I don't know, just having that as a soundtrack is nice and comforting.
Okay.
Like we go to bed early too, so like at this point, like falling asleep is no problem. I actually like how my sleep, the way things are right now in terms of sleep is good for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my wife, she loves sleep. So even if she has 8 hours, it could be 8 good hours. She tracks her sleep too with Fitbit. So if like she has the green light and everything, like she's like,
Okay.
oh,
Yeah.
I still want to sleep though.
Yeah.
Like, she's not a
Yeah.
morning person, so but
Okay. Okay. And
yeah.
the biological difference also, the cycle is definitely different. And then
Mm-hmm.
for women, it's because women run on a 4-week cycle. The
Mm-hmm.
time of that's going to make a huge difference when she wants to sleep in more, or any woman wants to sleep in more, including myself. And you're up at 6 o'clock and you're perfectly fine and I'm ready to conquer the world. But then there are days you don't want to get up.
Yeah, no, and I have those days too, but it's just I don't know, just when it just comes to waking up, yeah, I can't be exposed to light, otherwise I'm awake for a while. But it's fine. I like to be operating early anyway.
Right.
I'm used to it. I used to work graveyard hours at Michael's, so I'm used to, working, just being up early. And that's why I brought up the Hooker Green question, because I would put
Yeah.
away paint and just see all the ridiculous names and be like, Hooker Green, like what? Anyway. But back to like having you know, let's say if you had a blue room, or as opposed to let's say green, or having green, like right, would that be the next color in the color wheel? What does like the color
So,
green how does that affect
so
the mind?
like I was saying, the dark blues are stimulating, the lighter blues are calming the mind. So
Hmm.
it's also
Okay.
where, so when I'm choosing a paint color, I might not be asking this question specifically to my client, but this is a question that's always in the back of my mind. Number one, it's one of those questions when we're talking about design more than art, right? So the light, the face with the direction the room is facing, south facing or north facing, that will obviously change the light and the way you see colors. One question. And then another question is, like, if we're doing a bedroom where the goal is to sleep well and relax and unwind at the end of the day, we're going to avoid certain colors, which would also be a dark shade of blue, as it's stimulating the brain. Whereas a softer, low intensity blue is calming down the brain. It's still affecting the brain. So that's an important part. That's what calms down your mind and unwinds mentally. So a lighter shade of blue. And green is actually that color that's in the middle. I'm sure everybody's heard that it's the color of balancing. It's right, and that's because it's right in the middle of that visible spectrum of light. So it is also called the color of life. And to understand that, if we see chlorophyll, which is the substance of life in plants, is a green substance. So that's why green is balancing. It would be the same way darker greens are going to be more stimulating. Avoid them in the bedroom if you want to sleep. Great for office or living spaces, definitely. Whereas a light green is going to be balancing. It would be like a whole body experience. So it's another good color to bring in the bedroom for sleep.
Yeah. Interesting.
What do we have next? We have the purples, and every color goes that way. There's the dark intensity and there is the low intensity. Purple, which was actually the first color, which is also known as, they say, what is the word I'm looking for? Like the color of meditation, you might have heard about, because it is that color that goes to that spectrum where we as human beings cannot see it. So it's getting into that next level. So again, light purples are great for meditation, for calming, using spaces like that. And dark purples, again, avoid in the bedroom, but can help with focus and concentration, which is what you would need like when you're meditating, or if that kind of space you have in your home. Now we move on to the other side of the spectrum. So green was in the middle. The other side of the spectrum is yellows and orange and reds. Mm-hmm. So the red is the opposite of blues, where the blue was the color that engages the mind. The red is the color which engages the body. So it's a physically stimulating color. Again, vibrant reds, dark shades are always going to physically stimulate. Great color for the gym where you want to be physically active.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, yes. And on a day, if well, I don't want to get into clothing because that's not our topic here, but laundry, everybody hates laundry. Make a vibrant red laundry room so you can get that. And if you come to see this, another question that I'm always considering is when I'm figuring out a color palette is, what is the type of activity? Laundry is a physical activity. You'll see these laundry rooms all over the internet that are blue and dark blue because everybody loves blue. Nobody knows why they love blue, but it's majority of the people in the world, their favorite color is blue. So the blue laundry, blue is also an easy color to decorate interiors with. So you'll see these blue laundries. But now when I'm telling you blue is the color of the mind, you're not doing any mental activity in the laundry room. It does not require to engage the mind. But folding clothes or washing and all of those are a physical activity. Got to move your muscles, got to get things done. So yeah, try red, might help. So it's the color of the mind. And light reds or low intensity reds, which we know as pink, is again the physical color. So it's physically relaxing and soothing. You always want to be careful when we get into these longer wavelengths. These are longer wavelengths of light. They are more stimulating than the lower wavelengths of light. So a little bit goes a long way. And then just like anything in the world is good, like when my kids were little, when I took them to the pediatrician on their yearly checkups, there was a limit how much milk I could give them, even though milk is great for toddler, 2-year, 3-year-old, but there's a limit because anything good can turn into being bad, even something as simple as water. So even if you're saying that color is good, that doesn't mean you just have that one color around you. And this is why, and this is my secret, you want to balance that spectrum of light when you're using colors around you, because we all know that a balanced diet or anything in life in balance is always good. You pick up anything in life, it has to be balanced, right? Even happiness. If your life is just full of happiness, you will not know what joy is until you've experienced that sadness. So we always, human beings are just designed that way to look for balance in life or in anything. And that comes the same to colors. You want to balance them around you. So when I'm creating a palette, the secret I was telling you, when I'm creating a palette, I'm trying to use colors from the lower wavelength colors as well as the longer wavelength colors. And that's what's going to create that balance. So it just depends. The ratio is different. Sometimes we have more of the blue and then a hint of red or yellow or pink, whatever is needed. But we do want that balance between the longer wavelengths and the shorter wavelengths.
Wow. That is interesting.
There's a whole science. You see,
yeah, I didn't know it was that.
There's a whole science, and the science is like, I get this, when it's a new concept, people are like, oh, it's just my favorite color. It's my choice. It's I ask people when I see, oh, okay, I'm just curious, why did you paint that bedroom dark blue? Oh, I just love it. It's my favorite choice. That's like saying, pizza is my favorite food. I love it. I want to eat it for the rest of my life every day, but I want to be fit and healthy. So you see, it's no more a matter of my favorite or choice. There are certain things that are good for you, and there's certain things that are not. So when we come to environment or colors, it's the same thing. Yes, you like a color, but is it good for you? And what people forget, like you were just saying, you have all these trophies and arts for inspiration. Every time you're looking at them, you're not thinking that, oh, I put this for inspiration. Eventually it turns into a subconscious thing. You know, sometimes I take my kids in the morning to the school and I'm like, when did I even come here? How did I even get here? Because I do that every day. It happens at a subconscious level. So like I was saying, that the color is processed in your brain, it is going to impact you at a subconscious level, no matter it's your favorite, you like it, you don't like it. Eventually, that is the impact, the psychological impact will kick in. So yeah, so even if it is your favorite color or not your favorite color. And something that you mentioned earlier was like you being attracted to these palettes, which are not your palettes. And anybody can tell that your favorite color might have changed throughout your life.
Oh yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
like red used to be my favorite color when I was younger, and then suddenly I just started gravitating towards blue. I do like a lot of vibrant colors though, like I mean, especially when it came to like fashion, like my shoes. I used to buy like real colorful shoes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I have a reasoning behind that also. It is again your mental and psychological state in life. When you were younger, you were free of a lot of things. Today, you're a parent or a spouse, there's a lot of responsibility. Life is totally different. Teenage years, you're going through those hormonal changes, and I still want to be with my parents, but I have to leave and blah, blah stuff. So teenagers react the most. So it's always the different stages of life. And like you said, I like vibrant shoes. A vibrant wall and a vibrant shoe, there's a ratio difference also. Then you're wearing a shoe for a little while, you wear it for a couple of hours, and you put it back in the closet. You're not going to change that wall every 2 days or every day. So it's always also like how you're feeling. Sometimes you're going to love that color. I'm working with a client right now. Obviously, I want to work with people who are into colors, or at least are willing, open-minded to understand it. I don't want to create gray spaces. I'm not the right person for that. So she was all for color. And now when we got into the project, she has some other projects going on, other things. It's so overwhelming. So much is happening in her life. And she started like, no, this is too much color. This is too much color. So what's happening is she's so overwhelmed in life that color can become noise. And she wants to escape from that noise, and she wants to close down. And she's like, okay, I want to get into those whites and neutrals. So that's always an indication, like your choice of color can tell a lot of what's going on in life mentally and in your head. Yeah.
God, you're gonna make me question every color that I have around like all my surroundings.
Why do I want to wear this today? Why am I attracted to this today? And 2 days later, I hate it.
Well, let me ask you this, because I in our home there's a lot of, I'll just say brown, because there's a lot of wood. It's like we're in a like sort of repurposed factory, right? So there's a lot of wood, a lot of like earthy tones, I would say. Like, so like I guess I'm asking like how could brown like affect?
Yeah.
Like,
so first of all, I want to say, like I was just saying, everything has a positive aspect and a negative aspect.
Of course.
So that in mind. So like you said, earthy tone. So there comes the brown, is like we related to the earth. It's grounding. It connects us to nature in those ways. On the negative end, brown can be too depressing and heavy also. Can be very suppressing if there's a lot of brown, right? And I'm sure you've experienced that if you're in the woods for a long time or feeling like that. So that's why we look at balancing them out. There is brown, and like you said, you cannot do anything about those doors and other things. You can balance it with some other colors.
Yeah. But it does, adding some greenery helps.
Yeah.
It actually kind of makes it
That's the
more
palette nature
comforting.
is already created for us. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Brown and the green palette. So we see it in nature, that nature has given us that brown is balanced with the green.
Look at that. Yeah.
So honestly, nature is the best creator. Or if you're a believer, God is the best creator. That's what it is for me. And all the answers are there.
Yeah, no, hey, yeah, teach their own. Like whatever you believe in. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, when I was wearing like those colors back, it was when I was out a lot more. So like in a way, it was kind of like peacocking. Like I just want to show off my cool like shoes or like whatever t like design
Yeah.
t-shirts I had. So
That requires
uh
confidence too. Yeah.
yeah, it was but they were fun. Like it yeah, in a way it like triggered like I don't know if you want to call it like an emotion, but yeah, sure, confidence or like just like overall like content contentment,
Mm-hmm.
happiness.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's just at least how I look at, like especially like greens and blues together, yellows. Um, because yeah, like when I work when I'm painting, my go-to are usually cool colors, but
Okay.
I gravitate to like, everything else. But when I do my work, it's like kind of, I don't know. It's a little imbalanced with a lot of with the darks and the brights. Sometimes there's like very little color and a lot of it's like backdrop is something dark. Uh
Okay. Yeah.
so yeah, it's just I've always just been sort of like curious about like how or why I gravitate like other people's work that's like very colorful and vibrant, you know.
Yeah.
Like I always say like my world is darker than everybody else's. Like that's how I would just describe it when it comes to like our personal art.
Yeah.
But I do my yeah, I people that are familiar with my work, I have different styles. So
Mm-hmm.
some of those styles do require more color. So, but when I'm working on my personal stuff, it's a little bit darker palette than I don't know, most, I guess.
Okay.
So I don't know what you would make of that,
Oh, well, I'll leave that up to you.
but
Now you focus on like on an everyday basis, like what's it's just, and it's also a personality trait,
yeah.
our personalities, definitely it's a huge reflection of our personalities. Even like something like you said that you have different styles, some people have different styles and other people have only just one style of creating art. And when I started creating art, I was told that like it has to be consistent, it has to be just one thing so somebody can look at it and instantly recognize. And I
Hmm.
got really upset with that and stuck with that for a little while. And then I thought about it and realized I am not that personality. My personality, I get bored of repetition, and redundancy is not my thing. There are people who are good at it, and we do need those people. So there's nothing wrong with that. We
Hmm.
do need those people who can do redundant tasks.
Hmm.
At the same time, we need those people in the world who do different things all the time, and people who can do the repetitive work. So I was like, forget it, I can't do it. So I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do.
I'm with you on that 100%. Like that's how I feel. Like especially even going as far as like having a niche. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like I didn't want to just be known as like at the time. I didn't want to be the zombie guy. Like so I figured I started branching out to doing more like fan art, like zombified fan art to get more of like, the general like geek culture, I'll say.
Okay.
People that are into pop culture and all that. And then, but then I was like, I started getting tired of just doing zombie stuff. Like, look, because I use reference pretty heavily.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could go like in my Google search history, and sometimes you'd see like organ searches, like seeing just like livers and like all like the
Okay.
just the anatomy because
Yeah.
when I'm zombifying a person, it's like telling. I saw someone say it in an interview. It's someone who worked under um makeup artist and director Greg Nicotero, who worked on The Walking Dead, the popular Dead series like Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead and Day of the Dead. Um, but she said, when it comes to, doing like the makeup and the wardrobe, like all the effects, like you're telling a story on like how the person became the zombie. And that was what I was essentially doing, and then just kind of like adding to the gore and like seeing like the what could be the process of like how the zombie started eating you. Like, did it start at the wrist or the neck or what? And then sometimes I would have them with like weapons or something sticking through them to like say like, like what they've had, what they've gone through and whatnot. So, as fun as that sounds, I did get a little tired of having to do all the research and whatnot, and I just had to like change the course for a while. And then I got known for portrait work, which I really don't do too much with colors. Um, but I do love that's like sort of my thing.
So that's cool to know about that zombie art and the research going behind it. So,
Yeah, that
yeah.
was fun, but sometimes I was like, like, geez, like God forbid if anyone else were to come across like my research, be like, oh my God. No, it was fun, but it was kind of like exhausting creatively, just coming up with like the difference.
Ideas?
Yeah, especially when people would come to me. I've had, done family portraits, so I'm literally now I'm figuring out how did this family become zombies? Like, like the sequence between each member of the family, and if their pets are involved, like, all right, so I gotta see like, just try to make, I don't know. I'm like I'm probably taking it further than necessary, but this is just how like my creative mind likes to work. But yeah, it's just figuring out sort of the narrative and the storytelling in that illustration and that zombie portrait.
So do you
Um,
tell that to your clients, like the story you created, how you
no, they
zombified
usually
them?
don't they
No,
usually don't ask
no.
because I don't think they expect it.
Oh,
For the
okay.
most part, yeah. I've had one complaint that I went a little too far on the zombie
Okay.
flying. And I was like, I'm sorry, like I didn't know
Oh,
what the scale of like
how
gore
much they could handle.
and
Okay.
the threshold. So I would have to sometimes ask people, I'm like, all right, give me a level of like gore that you want. But you figure it out as you go. Like when babies were involved, I wouldn't go
Yeah.
nuts on it, you know.
Yeah.
So but I've done some fun like ones with kids in it. Yeah. Like pulling out their dad's eyes.
Family zombie portrait.
Yeah.
Cool.
And this is the thing, right? This is people coming to me asking for that, which is like even like more hilarious and entertaining. So it's like
Yeah.
you're seeing me like put out this stuff, but I'm like these were requested.
Yes.
Like these are the
People
my
want to be
like,
zombified. Who knew? Okay, cool. How
people
about that?
want to
Oh,
see
that's
a
another
zombified
different
dog.
personality.
But the color choices for because a lot of my backdrops, this is actually interesting. Like a lot of my backdrops, like were always just like basic colors. Like I
Mhm.
wouldn't often like add too much of a background. So I would
Right.
always be choosing like certain colors to either just balance the color palette of the zombies themselves based on like their outfits and whatnot, or the
Yeah.
props.
That's the
Or
details would
like
show. Okay.
yeah, and also like kind of also in a way like setting a mood
Mm-hmm.
in a creative way, like not just using black and white or like choosing orange for some reason or yellow, not just yeah, not doing anything too crazy. uh, Now you got me questioning like why did I choose these colors. I'm looking around like my work. I'm like, why did I choose those colors? Yeah, because I went through some pieces where I didn't use like certain colors like I typically use, and I kind of like just started using these colors and like kind of took it a little overboard with them, and I was like, huh, this was like a risk.
Yeah.
It's like I like it, but there's some I don't know. It stands out in a special way.
Yeah.
Yeah. The but how so would color psychology apply to like how would that affect those who might be like colorblind or like slightly
Mhm.
impaired?
So, we have two types of color deficiencies, right? It's like they can't tell it's the red green deficiency. So they can't tell the difference between the two colors. So they see it slightly different. But because it's still light entering their eye and it's still the wavelength that's being processed, so they're getting the impact at a psychological level. They might see colors differently or vocabulary. I'm sorry. I'm in the back of my house, which is like all woods, and there is never noise. But I never knew they were having construction today. The neighbors
Uh,
did something. Sorry with the noise.
it's okay. I don't hear anything.
You don't
So
hear it? Okay, that's
no. And I
better.
live by a train, so you might hear that at some point.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's fine.
So, like I was saying, at a psychological level, they are still going to have that impact of the light because it's the calculation of the wavelength of light happening in their brain.
Mm.
Where the way they're seeing it is definitely different because they can't differentiate between the two colors. Plus, it's interesting when we talk about, these names of colors, it's just a name
Yeah.
because in different parts of the world, in different regions of the world, there's a different vocabulary in different languages. So some languages might not even have that term that we might have as in the English language. And
Mm.
even in English language, for example, the red-breasted robin has the orange color, but it turned out that and I'm not sure, but probably could be that. Or there was another thing. What was that thing? Was it the blueberries? At the time when the bird was discovered or the bird was named, the color orange did not exist in the vocabulary of the language. So it was the closest color to that was red. And then now we have more colors, right? We have a lot more colors and a lot more name in today's time than 50 years ago. So it could be the kind of differences also, because there's always this debate. Somebody's saying, is that teal? And the other person is calling it turquoise or blue, or someone saying it's blue. No, it's a green, it's a blue or green. So that's where those differences would come. But at a psychological level, the light would still impact them.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean the variations, it's just again, like just because working at Michael's and seeing all the different types of, each color, I'm like, my God, like cerulean blue. I'm like, my
I
God,
know.
like, where did that come from? And there's so many others. That's the only one I can surprisingly remember is cerulean blue,
There's just so many. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is it's just one of out of so much. But yeah, that's so fascinating.
Yeah, my niece, just over the weekend, I bought my niece, she's been asking for alcohol ink markers, and she's into this animation, and that's what I've been thinking about her when you were explaining all this. Um, she's 9 years old only. So I bought her that pack of 100 alcohol ink markers, and I'm thinking to myself, how did they even come up with 100 colors? What is she going to do? Just for her, I wanted to give her something more. So I got that 100. Like, what are they going to do? Like, how did they even come up with that?
Yeah, that's so funny because I feel like when I was a kid, having 100, like having that like 100 crayon set,
Yes.
like that showed like status in our class. Like if you had a hundred crayon
Oh,
set, you're like, oh man, they're living it.
abundance. Yeah, status.
Yeah,
But
they got a good
that's
life.
the feeling I think I was going for. Probably not status, but because I wanted it when I was little, I
No,
would enjoy
no, that's
those hundred
fine, but
bucks.
that's just my
Yeah.
history, which
Yeah,
is
no, but it
hilarious.
is that feeling. It was like I never got it the $100. I want to give her the $100.
No, that's legit. I mean, I would definitely do the same shit. Like I was like, hell yeah, my kids would have Transformers.
Yeah. And probably, as a parent, I might not have done it for my kids, the 100, or her parents wouldn't do it. But as an
Yeah.
aunt, it was a little bit more like
Mm.
give her the 100. That feeling of spoiling or
Yeah, yeah, I can only imagine. Like I have a lot of friends, family that have kids and just sort of vicariously experiencing what it's like to be a parent. And I used to be a nanny for a while too, and just had like some certain experiences, like just like having to sort of raise a kid for a time period. But yeah, it's no easy thing. I mean, that's like a that's an understatement.
Well, it comes to you. It just
Well,
comes to
power to you. You have three, right?
you.
If
At
I'm
three,
correct.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so power to you
Yeah.
for raising a family and pursuing your business, like,
I
you know,
appreciate that. There are
yeah.
days where I have to remind myself kept three of them alive. That's more than enough.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So what all right, we didn't cover the other colors, but should we keep going with the colors?
Sure. We got to red. We have orange and yellow. We can talk about
Okay.
yellow is called the color of the emotions, again, where the wavelength of light and the numbers and the way they trigger, or the part of the brain they trigger. So, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we've read and heard, which I had before I knew like what is the reasoning behind it. So it triggers you at an emotional level. It can be emotionally, can be good. Today, maybe I needed it. We know the sun is amazing. I used to live in Buffalo, New York. I mean, here in Albany, also the sun doesn't show, it doesn't appear for 6 months almost, and it can be very depressing. So many people suffer from seasonal depression, and this is a color that we miss. But then too much yellow or very bright yellow or very mustardy yellow can also turn to be depressing. Can be too heavy emotionally. You can feel again cranky in a space like that. So something again to be, like I was saying, everything has negatives and positives. But then we need the sun, and it's so important for us.
Oh yeah.
So it's the color
Vitamin
of the
D.
emotions. Yeah. So it's good to surround yourself with some yellow around you in your home. Again, finding the right shade of yellow is super important, because there's that mustard and bright yellow to a soft pastel yellow. So it's all about finding the right shades also.
Mm.
And then we have orange, and orange sits in the middle of this. It sits in the middle of yellow and red in the visible spectrum of light. So it is that emotion and physical color. It is also known, I think this is the most important, or the fun part of orange is it is known as the color of the appetite. It can help boost your appetite, because again, the way it's being processed in your brain, where it's being processed. So when that wavelength of light of orange is processed in the brain, the functionality triggers is your appetite. So a good color to have in your dining room or your kitchen where you eat. And we know how we make orange, right? We mix yellow and red to make orange. So it will depend on the ratio of what you have in that orange. Do you have more yellow or do you have more red?
Mm-hmm.
So you can use a little bit of orange because it's also exciting in your bedroom, maybe a hint of it. So you don't wake up too exhausted in the morning, because, there's a difference between you sleeping well and waking up fresh. But when you're really tired and exhausted, you still sleep, but you don't wake up fresh in the morning. So there's a difference between that. Too much of orange, well, good luck sleeping in the bedroom if there's too much of orange. And then again, we have those softer oranges, whereas we have those vibrant oranges. So that will be our like the basic colors, and there's variation in those because of the way we mix colors. And then we spoke about brown, and there's black. And black, is absorption of all light, whereas white is reflection of all light. So everybody knows how they feel in the black and the white spaces. The other thing I would like to say about them is if all the other colors are noise, you can always see color as music notes. And white could be shutting down or no noise. So too much of white can get you into that stage of shutting down. A great example is mental asylums. Mental asylums have these white padded cells. These cells are padded and they're all white. So the floor, the ceiling, the wall, everything is white. So the padding helps when patients are put into these asylums, they're physically aggressive. So the padding helps so they don't hit themselves on the wall or the floor. But also it's all white to calm down their emotions, to get them exhausted and bring them down. So that is, again, very technically done. And again, we don't want to use the psychological impact of colors in our everyday life, but marketers are always using them on us. They're always applying them on us, branding, and even in just when you're in a grocery store, it's always being used to attract us to buy certain things. And you have the same washing powder, a certain one you want to buy more than the other one. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so think definitely that's something to think about. White is, it's no noise. And I've seen several times people whose lives are very overwhelmed. It's just way too much in life. And I know somebody, she was at a point who mentioned that all she wanted was white. She wanted to wear white. She wanted her space and everything to white. That was an instant sign that something is going on. And then it opened up. It came later. She talked about it. She was going through a divorce, and she had 2 children, and you can imagine how bad that can be and how hard that can be. So there was just so much emotional noise that she wanted to shut down. So sometimes our choices that we're attracted to can obviously be in the positive side, but can also be because of this. And life is really hectic these days.
Oh God, yeah.
So sometimes you want to shut down. Other times you want to feel supported in your homes.
What type of like artists or perhaps just like public figures inspire you?
So art-wise, who do I want to name? Can I name some designers?
Yeah, you can name. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna claim that I'll know any.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whoever. Yeah,
Definitely, that's what I'm more into. And I'm thinking of popular people, so people can also recognize them easily. And
I'll be sure to insert.
okay, no,
shots
this one you would know
of-
probably. I think so. Jonathan Adler. I'm sure you've heard.
Oh
no! Okay.
I'm gonna make it.
If you don't know him, then I'll not name any other names. So Jonathan Adler, he started as a potter.
Okay.
And then because now he has all his furniture line and pottery and everything, and a designer too. So he's, that decorative arts and interior design both. But his work or his brand is very vibrant and colorful. And I'm not saying that if somebody is buying that stuff, I love owning his stuff. It's super expensive also. So
yeah, I see his work
it's
now.
very vibrant, but at the same, so you can do a mixed balance. But what attracts me is definitely the color, the vibrancy, and the quirkiness in his objects that are created. I love an element of quirk, and it's whimsical, or it just shows my weirdness of my personality, which you will not see it like this. But in my environments, I'm also a big believer of your environment. When I'm in your home or you're in my home, it should instantly tell who lives here, what type of people they are, what are their interests, what to expect. So I'm definitely big on that, rather than copying what you're seeing in a picture or elsewhere. Or there's a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of confusion. So
in a way, you're kind of letting your home be sort of the it's like a visual biography of your home.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah, because I believe in that, because that's sort of how we treat our home.
Yes.
For right now, is that because I used to be a big like fanboy. I was like big into comic book. Like I grew up on comics and like cartoons and stuff. So I would have you could see some of my collection behind me. Like I grew up on this stuff. I was a big collector, but my wife's like, we have that in your office, in your space, which is totally fine.
Right.
But because, in our living room, kitchen, whatever, that's when that was like it's the shared space. So
Mm.
it'd be a lot of something that kind of, if we're just speaking color wise, that would be able to, just give a little bit of our personality in our,
Both of
I
yours,
don't
yeah.
know. Yeah, so we wanted like the social areas to feel homely and comfortable and warm. Um, but if you really want to see like what I'm into, I guess you walk into my office and that's what you
Yeah.
see, like, oh, this is G here. But like out there, I would say actually out there you see more of like the type of person my wife is
Right.
actually.
That
Uh,
happens in every household.
yeah,
You're
man.
doing the right thing. Let me tell you, you're doing the right thing. And I say like, he's not home. I'm the one who's always home. I'm at home office. I work from my home office, so it's gonna represent more of my
There's
personality.
there's hints of me out there. Like I got my
Yeah.
Xbox One out there, and some like our DVD collection is actually rather interesting to see. Like we have both our collections, growing up. So to see all of that put together is quite interesting. But yeah, you get to see a lot of our shared memories, and also my wife's memories and her representation. So
I love that. No, I
yeah,
love
it's
that.
it's
I
nice.
do want to say, I mean, you're doing this, that's amazing because I don't get to hear this very often. And because we live in the social media world, Instagram world, which has its negative aspect, a
Mm.
lot of time people are decorating for others when people come and see.
Oh,
This is so popular, so common. Then my home looks um what are the neighbors going to say? What are my friends going to say? Other people are going to say, and it's for them. It's really not for you. So at one point, I worked at Pottery Barn as a designer, and that was my best like research in the field to see. People would come and tell me, oh, I have this from Pottery Barn, I have that from Pottery Barn. Their whole home was Pottery Barn. And in my head, I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that your home looks like a Pottery Barn. It has zero personality and individuality, but they didn't know. So, like, literally, I've seen those houses and I was like, oh, why don't you send me pictures? The whole house looks like a Pottery Barn with zero personality and who you are. So, yeah, so many people have forgotten about it. And what happens is, because we're talking about everything psychological today, it doesn't support you. That's the problem. So whoever you are, and like, you're very different from who I am, but it's going to support you because you live in that house all the time. And that's what's important. But then this is why people are not satisfied and they are in Target every week buying something new because they're not satisfied. So
Mm.
it's about like, if your home is not supporting you,
So,
something to
so
consider.
so I don't know if this fits into that. It really sounds like it does, or it's gonna sound like it does.
Okay.
Is that I got to a point where, I don't know. I have like mixed feelings, indifferent feelings about hanging my own work, like in a more like in our home.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I do it in my office just to, I don't know, it's kind of like a reminder of like, yeah, like, it's like just reminding me of the headspace I was in and stuff. But like out in the living room, like I don't feel that, I don't know. I feel weird about having my paintings
So you're,
yeah, my artwork, and yeah, like as I know I have a lot of artist friends that like have their shit everywhere.
yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. It's like weird having like your own home gallery of yourself. So
I have my shit everywhere, so I'm that one.
I mean, no, I mean, look, to each their own.
No,
I
I
just feel weird
it's in a
about
good
it.
way. I went through that stage, and then yeah. So what was your question? You finished your
Well,
question.
well, no, it's just I had like one of those like one of those moments with my wife where it's like I wanted you to want to have my art on the whole
Yes.
things. Because like I do have some of my pieces up on the wall now, uh but like and there's some that I painted for her. So I was always like, oh, you're not gonna hang up that land, that thing I did for you. But for
Yeah.
the most part, a lot of the living space, you do get a sense of like who my wife is as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're very very much yin yang, yin 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 yang.
Well, which is the good thing.
Oh yeah, it's
Right here.
the perfect balance, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah.
She's very very quiet and sweet and warm, and then I'm loud, and you know I'm
Balance is out, yeah.
I'm putting so much restraint on myself not to make any fart jokes or anything. But
How does she handle it then
with what? Uh
with the jokes?
oh,
Like
I mean,
it's quiet and
she's heard it all, and okay, well, to actually to put it clearly, we're high school sweethearts, and we've been
okay.
together for 18 years now. So it's like we've yeah, just long history together. So nothing surprises her.
Yeah, so now she's
But
used to it.
the she does like to sustain the geek side of me, I'll say. The art is like no big deal, but it's like when like the comic book stuff starts coming out and you start seeing it more in the living room, she's like, uh-oh, no.
Okay.
We gotta assess the situation here.
Yeah.
Um
You should listen to the podcast today. Who's recording? Send it to her.
oh God,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's what I generally see. It's because, the wife, whoever is more home is like,
Well,
and
I'm
every
a
man
house
is like,
husband too, so
yeah, yeah. I haven't worked with one of those, but I've also seen every man is like, the secret to happy marriage is let your wife do what she wants to do. So they'll all
yeah.
work out.
I,
But
I
then, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off. I
we
was just
just
gonna say
try
happy
to be
wife, happy
considerate of it.
life.
Yeah, that's smart man. You have to be considerate. And then like for my husband, he's never home, he never has the time, he's not looking into the things, even when I show it to the so my husband's a physician, so he has a completely different kind of brain than I do. So even if I'm
Mm,
showing him, which I do always show him, like this is the palette I'm working on for our
uh,
home, he wouldn't get it. And then sometimes the feedback that comes from is like, okay, can you just leave? I don't want that feedback. So now I know as a
yes.
person what he likes or what he is um he's all about, so I just incorporate that. So that's something I do take my clients through a questionnaire, personality questionnaire, to understand their personality, so they might not even be knowing it, but they'll be
Mhm.
supported in the space. And it could be simple things just like shapes, because our personalities are attracted to different shapes. Not everybody's attracted to circular or sharp angles, so even including things like that, or pattern wise, like one person would be all geometric pattern, the other is floral. So just
Oh yeah.
including them automatically. So those little things also support. So
Mm.
that's how I just include my husband's stuff. He doesn't even know, but I hope it makes a difference.
That's so funny. But yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Um, I do have to ask. Because if people were to follow you on Instagram, uh,
Yes.
you only have a few things posted up, and that is
Yes.
because how long ago the Meta, your whole
Yeah.
like thing with Meta right now, that like would you mind just like sharing about that a little bit? Because I'm genuinely curious of
Yes,
what
yes.
happened
So
there.
it's been over a year now. It was last year, I think sometime in March 2022. I just got an email that some copyright infringement happened on the post you posted. And it was like, I haven't posted in a week, so I'm not even sure what happened. I have no idea what happened. They shut my Facebook, they shut my Instagram, and it's very hard to get hold of them. There's no way you can get hold of them. So a friend was helping me going through their Instagram and finding where I could put in a request and blah, blah, blah stuff. I did all of that, but I never got a response. And I got some emails back. They wanted to put some sort of code, but I couldn't do it. And there was this email where they sent me a code, and I have a picture of that thing. I had to write that code. It said to write that code on a piece of paper, and your name, I think it was your name and your Instagram handle, and then take a picture with your hands holding it. Show it like I felt like I was a primate. Okay. It was that bad.
Oh
Maybe I
my
can find that picture and hold it and take a picture and send them that picture so they can, deactivate your account or activate your account. But that never happened. So I lost everything that I had on Instagram and Facebook, my Facebook group page,
Oh my gosh.
everything was gone. And after that, I lost my WhatsApp also. So they banned my phone number from WhatsApp. Did I do something? I don't know, because I have no idea what happened. We could never, nobody told us ever like what happened, if there was a mistake or it was something that I
Oh,
did.
gee.
So yeah, that happened. It was all gone. I am definitely an introvert. And then I was like, okay, I'll take a little break from Instagram. I took a I tried to get that back for a really long time, but it didn't work.
Mm.
So then I took a break from Instagram, and work was busy, didn't really have the time for it anyways. Was working on my portfolio. So I just restarted it, I think November, December. I'm not very active on there. I was not at all active last month, if you're curious about that, because I was, it was Ramadan and I was fasting. I did want to stay away from social media.
Oh yeah.
So, oh, I found that picture. Let me show you how weird that picture is. Okay. My
Oh,
name, that number, what else? Yeah, my Instagram handle,
oh jeez.
everything. And they asked your hands should be showing and you're holding it. So I had to send them that picture, but nothing ever came back. So
What in the
I
world?
went through that. Nothing happened. But you see, that was my previous Instagram, also Color Conscious Living. Because they completely took my handle off Instagram, I got that account again.
Jeez.
So I took it as, this was whatever. It wasn't meant to be. Now I need to start again, build that follow. But years of content, years and years of content.
Yeah, that's the thing
On
that's
Instagram.
like really like disheartening is just like all that content there.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember how many followers you had on there?
Ooh, don't remember. I think it was around
Mm.
2000 something.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
having to start from scratch is yeah, it's a
it's really
challenge for
hard
sure.
to
Yeah,
do.
just having to
So on
restart.
Facebook, you can still find that account and the
Okay.
posts are there. I cannot access it. I cannot log into it. But Instagram, it was completely taken off. And then
Oh,
I got my WhatsApp back randomly one day. I tried entering it, my phone number, and it came back. I still don't get everybody's messages. So there are some messages I get, some I don't. It's so weird.
oh
But
man.
like literally it said my phone number was banned from WhatsApp. So that happens. And I heard it happened to a lot of people after that.
Really?
Found out.
That's so odd. I wonder what's going on there. Ugh.
Like, yeah, in a
But well,
second, you can lose everything.
so well, I mean, was it at all nice not having that static in your head though, the social media static?
It was.
Like,
It
and in a
was.
way, it had to been like you had to been in euphoria, just because like you're in the moment, you're present. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
that's
for sure.
just you're
And
just
like I
in
was
like
saying, I'm an introvert. It was a habit that I created to show up on my stories every day. And I was like very active at that time. I'm not right now. Again, I have to get into the habit. So showing up every day, showing my
oh
face.
yeah, it's
Um,
exhausting being
yeah.
present like
So being
that.
present on that. And I did a lot of I've also changed my strategy now. I'm in a different spot than I was a year ago. So I used to do a lot of IG videos and everything we're talking about today in bite-sized videos, a
Mm.
lot of awareness. So things are a little different now.
Mm.
Probably my goal is to just have it as a portfolio. But then I do get some emails, people send me emails like, we want you to talk about that stuff because it was just different and it was something new I learned. There was
Like
very good
we need content and more
content.
context on this stuff, huh? That's
So
funny.
yeah, I do get that, and so probably we'll go back. But thankfully, things are busy, projects are busy. So
Yeah, that's the thing, right? These
yeah,
like I mean, I'd really hate to just keep bringing up like the quarantine period, but the content creating, like that is such a major like asset to like running your own
yeah,
business nowadays. It's like I have mixed feelings about that too, because I went really heavy on content creating because like that's the way you kind of stay relevant and kind of like out there. You always gotta put yourself out there in some way, somehow.
Yeah.
and it's exhausting. Like I go through burnouts pretty frequently when I've noticed like, oh, I've been putting so much energy on this or this, like I get podcast burnout, like fatigue, because it's talking to so many people or just like by myself. But yeah, like you start like you find like these ways of like marketing yourself. It's like, yeah, it gets pretty
Yeah.
exhausting.
I actually have moved on because of this, what happened, and moved on more into, in person,
Mm,
going out and initially, and I wanted to do it like it sounded really cool, right? You could do all this marketing through your Instagram and get clients coming through Instagram and stuff. Yes, I did get few, but nothing major or everything was coming that way. No. And I did want to do it because my kids were much younger. So wanted to do it while I am around them. So
hmm
now all of them are in school and I can get out there. So these are my hours, like when they're in school, I can go out and do things. So I'm doing more in person. I think old school. I've gone back to the old school way.
Oh
That's
yeah.
have to get
That's
out there, like the art fairs and shows and all that stuff. That have to get out there and do it. It's not going to happen here.
so actually, yeah, I was just gonna bring that up, doing events. I love doing events, and I've always expressed how like part of the downside of running an LLC in my case is that because you really have to worry about like the expenses and trying to make all that money back plus profit and whatnot, but it did take away the fun of like doing events a little bit, because I would just go in and be like have the mindset of like, hey, like if we don't make that much money, at least like I'll take the social exchanges and get like I always what would I say? I was like, if we don't make $1, we give out like as long as we're getting business cards out, like that's all that matters. It's like if we don't sell enough art, but we gave out a lot of business cards and had like a lot of good conversations, like that's like I'll take the positive out of that. But now it's like, oh damn, we didn't even break even. Oh no. Like um but yeah, but even still, uh I've always had great conversations doing these events. Like again, because I'm a social guy, so I love talking to people and learning about like what kind of art they like what or just like other things like pop culture, like what they're into, and we just like connect that way. I love connecting with people, which is part of why I love doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So is
but
Virginia a great place for art fairs and all those events?
Richmond is like crazy with pop-up markets, like which is
I'm
new
sure
to
the weather
me.
helps too, right?
Yeah, the nice spring has been pretty rough here.
Okay.
Even if it's not raining, sometimes we get like some really create like bad winds. Like the wind mileage is a bit too high. It blows away like our tents and
Yeah.
knocks people's like stuff down. People lose products because of fragile products.
I
So
think
it's
it
like
was,
it's a
yeah, on
challenge.
your tent I saw you had the weights, right? You have the dumbbells on it,
Oh my
right?
God, yeah, but it still
Right?
wasn't
And I was
enough.
like
Yeah.
years ago when I was in Florida and I used to do those art fairs and tent would blow up. I was like, why did I get that idea then? I needed those dumbbells and weights on it.
Yeah, I mean, I make it a point to always like if I check my weather app and I always if I see that there's wind, I'll see what the mileage is. And like now I have a good idea of like, all right, we have to bring all the weight we have to keep this tent down. Um, but that being said, because when I was still living in Jersey,
Yeah.
we came from West Orange, and we used to do a lot of flea markets in Trenton. Trenton's a great scene, great art community, and this particular I don't know if I call them a company or what, but there's this group that would host these seasonal flea markets called the Trenton Punk Rock Flea Market,
Okay.
and it's a big scene. It's a full weekend event, over 200 vendors per day, a lot of great local food trucks, even like, just other food trucks from like other cities. Just so much going on. Sometimes like the local news would like, be involved in like broadcasts. So that was fun. We were doing that like as much as we could, just because like that's really where we were making a lot of money. Um, so like I was more used to yeah, I was more used to like the flea market scene as opposed to these like regular every weekend pop-up markets. Like that's a lot for me. I'm
Hmm.
not used to that. But I mean, there's like yeah, like I'm just like living here the past couple of years, I'm like learning sort of a bit more and more about like the pop-up market community and seeing where like my art can sell. Cause like I don't know. I never really anticipated that moving here, and so I had to like really take some mental notes on seeing like where like I can, you know, get the most attention and like, potential clients and whatnot. So like it's all been sort of a just a whole learning experience so far. But I'm also trying to get familiar with the gallery scene too.
Yeah.
So like yeah, so much going on in the city. So, like again, coming from West Orange where there wasn't we do some art in the parks and other towns, surrounding towns, but yeah, the constant, the regular pop-up markets is like, and I'll tell you, like every Saturday is a market day because there's at least four different like organizers that have pop-up markets happening. So
Okay. Yeah.
and that's at least four.
Yeah.
There's plenty more, but it's wild. It's like such a gamble on whether how
Yeah.
well you're gonna do, especially like if you're a newcomer too. So like I kind of get like a little I'm kind of attached, like I don't want to say emotional about it, but like it's a kind of part of the adversity right now is terms of getting exposure, because it's like you've got these regular artists or regular vendors or whoever that people already like are fans of already, and then
Mhm.
just being like a new name with a new aesthetic or a new style, however you want to
Right.
categorize it. It's like, I gotta get people kind of used to my style per se, or like my theme. Like, so yeah, I'm like just getting used to the type of vendors that are around, and then seeing what markets like have
Yeah.
a lot of visual artists.
Hmm.
Like makers is like a thing. I didn't
Yes.
realize like people call themselves makers. I thought they were just like crafters or something, because you're always crafting something, like whether it's wood or clay or whatever. I thought that kind of covered everything, but makers is like more specific, I guess. And I was like, oh, okay. My bad. Yeah, so
Loved.
yeah, I'm still learning. But and we do I mentioned Charlottesville earlier, I believe, and we do these they host festivals over there, which is more art focused. And that's
Okay.
where we found the area that we do well in. And I always say we because my wife helps me. So I'm just the artist. She helps, like sell. She's the hand.
Organizer. Oh, she helps with the selling.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, we tend to do well over there. Like people are really there for the
Rather
art.
than the pop-up shops, right, where the makers are there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's still some of them there, but there's still like I don't know. I don't even want. I'm trying like not sound arrogant or anything. It's just like, you know, yeah. I'm just gonna leave it at
No,
that.
I understand. I've experienced that.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, cause
experienced that a lot
there's
in
people that make a
Florida.
lot of cool trinkets, like these, like
Yeah.
this is more of a retail term, but like impulse items, like small buys, like nice
Yeah.
like ornaments and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, like experiencing all this, I'm learning my even like the type of like artist I am. Like I'm not like a production artist. Like,
Right.
I have more of like one of a kind type of um, works. So yeah. Yeah, it's been interesting. But yeah, like if you were going out back out there, like what would people see like at your setup if you were to do events?
Oh, I used to do that when we lived in Florida. And like you said, there was a lot of pop-ups and Orlando, we were in Orlando, so the weather was obviously all year round that would happen.
Mm,
And I did a lot of different things. Again, I can't do one thing. I started with Arabic calligraphy, which was for me in Florida was a big thing about diversity. And it didn't have to be religious. It was just about um, just writing anything that would connect people. And I like to do that, impasto oil paintings, and then pour and resin and a lot of stuff. But like you were just mentioning, the people prefer those little things, and which seem to be also more functional rather than buying a painting, which is more
yeah.
expensive and it's one piece and didn't work in a lot of pop-ups.
Yeah,
Which
it's like
a lot of things.
it's discovering your demographic too, I
Yeah.
believe, you know. Yeah. Because if they see an illustrator, like in my case, they're gonna look for fan art or something, you know, which like I have, but
Yeah.
that like I came here to try to focus more on like the stuff I want to work on.
Yeah.
But that's where like if you've seen any of my posts involving like robots and stuff and more like dystopian art, like that's where my head is like
Okay.
usually at. But if I'm trying to just like I do make event specific pieces and make prints and stuff to help, just to attract and draw in the general community. But, that's just kind of like a way to get them to start seeing my personal art and see if they vibe with that. And sometimes they do. Like it's again, as we do more events, we notice that people are drawn to like my robot stuff,
Hmm.
which is assuring because like a lot of those pieces like I there's meaning behind those, so that's why I love doing the events, kind of bring that back, is because when they get to hear that story, then it's like I love making that connection with the
Yeah.
people that even if they're just coming by and like they don't buy anything, but they want to know what's up, and that's what I love. And it's not really advice I would like give someone who's like just going out there, but I'd be like, yeah, I mean, like if you don't make all that money, like, but you've had all these great exchanges, like take that. Like that's still a good day. Like you can make a good day out of that. Um,
It can be a little hard to understand that early on.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially like,
So it's
again, because we've done it for a while where it wasn't like I said, once you started, like if you legit like filled out the paperwork and stuff and turned into an LLC, that's when it kind of becomes like a little more serious and but like if you're just doing it and you're like, like it's not that bad. Like it's not like your losses could, they're not as bad, I would say. Because it's, you get your taxes and all that
yeah,
stuff.
pretty much everything now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I bring this topic up. Are you okay with time?
What's
Because
the time?
this is usually one of the last things I just like to bring up
Okay,
with
yeah.
some of my guests is
Okay.
out of curiosity, with the uprise with AI nowadays, I'm curious what your thoughts are with AI creations in general, or like if you want to focus on music, artwork, like
Yeah.
just AI in general, like what you think, just what you think about it.
So I think I've already answered that question coming from a computer science background, somebody who created softwares
Mhm.
and now doing some completely opposite. And even when I do my drawings, my floor plans, or my sketches, which I will put them up on my Instagram. So before this goes on air, so everybody can go and see them. I do have a few sketches on there. They're all hand drawn. And I have refused to use, I mean, I'm not getting into AI, just the software part of things. I've refused to use the software to do my floor plans. I've refused to uh, do my sketches using a software, because I definitely believe in that hand-eye coordination, and you work faster when your brain, your eye, and your hand is coordinated, and the ideas come and you quickly get them done. So I enjoy that. Yeah, I know the future is all computerized, everything AI, and but I believe in everything natural. Is that the answer to your question? That's where we were going with it, or no?
It's just however, like, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, if
yeah.
that's how you
So
feel,
just
it's
just
fine.
generally, I've like refused to learn CAD and SketchUp, and until I don't really have to do it,
Gotcha,
I'm
gotcha.
like, I don't
Yeah.
I don't want to do it, because that's what I escaped from. I didn't want to be everything computerized, and I enjoy it more this way.
Mm.
So, or when time is when I really have to learn to do it, I'll just hire somebody, outsources or this sort some way.
Okay. Now, I don't want to say worry, but are you in any way concerned on how it's going to affect society in general? You know,
Everything
how it
is
affects
digital already.
musicians and visual artists and actors and writers, because you have like Chat GBT and then you got the deep fake technology and all that stuff.
I don't think I have an opinion on that,
Mhm.
because I have kept myself out of it all,
Mm.
like really going in and doing things by hand. So I'm not thinking about it, how the future is going to be. I
Mm.
do think it's going to take over. I mean, I'm definitely not the most knowledgeable to talk about that.
Mm.
I'll just say,
We
like,
all
even my
think the
10th
same thing
grader,
though.
even my 10th grader, he was like, all the kids or all his friends or everybody, my friends' kids, they're taking some sort of programming or something or AI classes. And, I mean, I've programmed robots myself. That's what they're doing. I made him take a ceramic class for his electives, and then one of the electives he has is cooking. So I was like, you're gonna do that. That's gonna come. That's gonna happen with your degree. Though he doesn't want to go into computer science. He wants to do zoology. I was like, you have to do things by hand. And that's what fulfills you. So I at some point I also believe that yes, it is there, but it's not going to take over, because people do realize, and sometimes you realize that at a certain stage in life, especially a certain age,
Mm.
that natural process is very important, and you have to do things the old way with your hands and have that coordination.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really upset that my kids don't write anymore. Everything is on the computer. Everything is, I was worried a lot at one point, like they can't write as fast as I could and write an exam. But I've given up on that. I've also given up on spellings, because now everything you really don't need to know spellings.
Yeah,
Comes
it's
up.
just
Things
I'm
have
just
changed.
fascinated.
Yeah, things have changed. But I'm also seeing people who are realizing it at an age and going back and doing things, which is kids are like, oh, you can even do that.
Mm.
But of
Yeah,
course, my son is obsessed with Bart. Everything is smart.
like Bart Simpson.
No, no, Bart is an AI. I think it's Google's AI, which can like literally. So we're the wrong people talking about this. Um, it's yeah, Google's AI, which can tell you anything, answer anything for you.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of software like those AI softwares I'm not familiar with.
yeah,
Like I guess for me, I like to just be in tune with like the reactionary aspect
okay.
of
Or as much
society.
as you need to, I mean, to
Because
survive.
it's and just like yeah, because like, yeah, I don't know. Now I might start getting like conspiracy.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like ignorant, because I've definitely kept myself away from it.
Which is, hey, yeah, there's no, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah,
I
like
think,
I
but
don't want to get into that stuff. The natural stuff is cool.
well, so yeah, bringing that back, like, yeah, I believe in, especially, if we're just talking, visual arts, fine arts. Yeah, I always go back to traditional ways, using
Yes.
traditional mediums or man-made
Yeah.
uh material.
Rather than doing creating on my niece, my other niece just sent this text in the morning that she created an anime on what is that? Procreate app on the iPad.
Uh-huh.
It's like, that's boring. Can you just do it by hand?
Oh, maybe I wonder if she's maybe it's Procreate because I use
It's
Procreate
Procreate. Yeah,
for like
Procreate. So yeah, but
digital
I feel
stuff.
like you still lack that. There is a third party in the middle, so you lack that drawing that you do by hand.
Yeah, it takes me it's funny. I had this conversation actually with a mutual friend, right? Carrie.
Yeah.
Carrie Yon. I yeah, it takes I have to like warm up to use it going to digital. Like if I want to render out a sketch, like anytime I do a digital illustration or a painting, like I've always done a sketch of it first. Then
Okay.
I'll take a picture and then throw it in Procreate instead of just
Oh,
starting straight into Procreate. And
right.
for me,
Okay.
it's just a tactile thing. Like I just like the feel of the paper when I'm drawing
Yes.
and like my strokes. Like I have that space. It
Right.
feels more unlimited as opposed to on whichever size iPad you have. So I
Right.
love that. But I mean, sure, like zooming in and out, that's a great you
Yeah.
know, thing you can do. But yeah, so for me, I always felt better if I want to sketch out a concept, just doing it on paper and then render it out on Procreate. Um, but some people it's just it's crazy because there's levels, right? There's levels to everything.
Yeah.
So you can see how well artists traditional talents can translate in digital, if that makes any sense. Like um my best example would be this artist named David Malin, and he does these great portraits
Okay.
but with graphite. But then he started doing digital portraits and with like digital sketches and paintings, and it just translated so well. And even
Okay.
more so when he started adding paint to it because, but I was just like, wow. But for me, like I have to like just warm up to it. It doesn't like I just feel like I can
It's
do
practice.
better.
That is all about practice. The more you do
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy like,
Not that.
he's got it in the bag. But
Yeah.
so I don't work with Procreate enough to really like hone in
Mm.
on it, but because I just prefer doing everything on paper. Um, but I
That would
do
be
believe
interesting to
on
see like how much it takes over because as AI is growing, it's growing very fast. Mindfulness is also a thing in today's world and being more conscious. So a lot of people are more mindful and conscious. So that would be interesting.
I will say with a lot of like some of the AI art, a lot of it is very vibrant and colorful. So I do like that. That's like one positive I'll say is that it does create some very beautiful, vibrant paintings and illustrations that I don't typically I don't know. It just feels more noticeable with the AI creations being
Okay.
now. Because I mean I follow, like any person, like I follow lots of artists,
Yeah.
a lot of amazing works, but I don't know, like AI, a lot of bright stuff I see if I'm just scrolling and then I scroll back up to see it to go back on it, do a double
Okay.
click. I'm like, oh wow, that's AI.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, that's just my feed though. But like, kind of going back to the whole thing with Meta, like that's just so weird. Um, and unfortunate. I'm sorry that that happened to you, especially when there's no reason to. It's like shit.
I would
Like
like
I
to
know I've
know.
done
If I did something, tell me about it.
yeah, right? Like where's the red flag or something? Where's the warning? Like
Yeah.
that's just
When
so
I was
odd.
like trying to recover it, that's when I found out this was apparently way common. It's happening way often now. And it is what it is. Then I was like, it's okay. Eventually it takes time. And it was like, okay, maybe God has different plans for me. So we'll see.
Mm. So you are religious.
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a
Nice.
believer for sure.
Lovely. I mean, I was raised Catholic, but I just fell off. I mean, it's really like you're just, typical, like just grew out of it, like nothing crazy. I just never followed through with it. But I have my parents are a little, pretty religious, but they're like casual religious. Is that a thing? Casual?
I think so. Yeah,
Well,
I
because growing up, like I grew up like an immigrant family lifestyle. Like my parents were
Yeah.
immigrants, so but like
From where?
the Philippines,
Okay, yeah.
in their bedroom, in their master bedroom, they always had this one shelf that had all the rosary beads and like the Jesus statues and all this stuff. It's quite a display. It was impressed. But and but then I want and like we would, they would take us to church, Christmas. If we didn't make it to church, they'd put on the church channel. Like they're on it for a minute, and then they just kind of fell off. So I'm like, what happened there? But yeah, no, but I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm sorry. That might be the weed there. Um,
No, you were just asking if I'm religious, so I don't know if you have a
yeah,
question.
no, yeah. No, that's wonderful though. At the end of my podcast, I like to on them, always like to end on a positive and an inspiring note. So I usually ask my guests if they have anything inspirational they would like to share with the audience, whether it's a quote you have in mind or someone, a place or just anything you'd like to share. It could be inspirational words for the aspiring artist or creator, or maybe someone that's like, hey, you know what? Color psychology sounds interesting, you know.
Yeah, if color psychology sounds interesting, and if you're looking for answers, like what is the right way to do it, nature. Look in nature. Nature has all the answers for everything.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very simple. The color palettes, the nature's color palettes are always the best. And you know how you feel different in different seasons. So you can apply that in your home and just make life easier and comfortable. We have so much depression and anxiety and competition in today's world. So a little bit of comfort goes a long way.
Mm. I like that. That's beautifully said.
Oh, I'm glad.
Thank you for sharing that. No,
Of
for real, because
course.
I mean, like I said before, and I said it in a jokingly tone, but I really kind of meant it where like I'm definitely gonna be just a little more conscious of like, I'll just say simply like the color palette that's around me. So like if I'm in the living room or if I'm out in someone else's room, like I don't know, I'm gonna be so much more conscious of like, and just making that kind of like psychological connection with it, like why do I feel this way when I'm in this room on Fridays or something like
Yeah. That happens. It actually happens a lot if you're at a doctor's office. Those are
right,
the
you mentioned that.
depressing places to be in.
Yeah, so there
You're
you
sitting in an
go.
office and you're like, yeah, those are always the most depressing places. But just look at the way that they're decorated, like lack of decoration, or just the color palette. Even if it's just paint on the walls,
Mm.
it can make a
Oh,
huge
wow,
difference.
yeah.
And walls are the largest real estate in your space, so that makes a huge difference.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I know we didn't get to this part, but I'll just add this also. We live in this really artificial world where everything is artificial, but color in reality is a survival mechanism for us human beings. And just think about it, if this was an all black and white world or all just grayed out world, simple decisions, life would be so much harder. How much milk are you adding to your coffee? You'll literally be measuring every teaspoon. Right now, we just pour it in and you can see the color and tell the difference. Like two people like their coffee differently. So just small decision making is like an instant. You're frying an egg, you just look at the color and you know that it's ready. Or a boiled egg, you know. It's the color. Your food goes bad. You don't eat it. You don't cook it. You don't taste it. If meat has gone bad, it turns blue in the refrigerator. So if you would have eaten that bad meat, it's poisonous. So you can just, so it's like I was saying, it's a survival mechanism. It makes life easier. It protects it. It keeps us safe. So color is that important. Like in the circle of life, Mother Nature or God or whatever it is has not created just colors just because it's beautiful, it's pretty. No, there's a deeper meaning. And that's also one way where my connection with God has become stronger. It's kind of really weird, but it is because it's so natural. You know, it's not just there. Even the tiniest insect in the circle of life has a reason. So how can something so big as color just be for looks? So yeah.
I wonder if that's in any way like how it is in New Zealand, because they are very like the Maori are very much about being with the land. So I wonder if there's anything like that for them in terms of color. You know, a lot of the colors that they use and their attire and everything and their garb.
Okay.
Just makes me wonder.
Interesting.
But that's a wonderful thing that you've shared there. So thank you for that.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my passion.
Of course. And I mean we really just like scratched the surface. There's so much to discuss. So like you're always welcome to come back again to share more, share like updates on what you got going on. And real quick, I shout out to Carrie because I believe it was through her you came across her like
True.
one of the clips. So shout out to her.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, is there anything you would like to plug? Perhaps if you want to just plug your social media and or what people can expect to see from you in the future.
Yeah, so future, I have gotten some of my projects photographed. So they're coming. They're going to be very colorful, probably, not for everyone, or it's just more of getting used to and understanding. Yes, these spaces are very colorful and these spaces are built on the psychological impact of color. And you'll see a good balance. There's not just only going to be color, but spaces that are black and white and very bright and dull. So that's coming on my Instagram. And if anybody has a question, anything about space, just send me a DM. I would love to answer it.
There you have it. And yeah, for the listeners, you can just check her out at on Instagram, Color Conscious Living. All right, if you or otherwise just make sure you visit the show descriptions for the links. But Color Conscious Living is where you can find her on Instagram. She does have a link tree, so be sure to visit that. I believe, does that contain you, because you've made other appearances, that is that on there as well? Yeah, you got there. So yeah, you can hear more discussions on that. And yeah, and as I always like to end the podcast, I would like to wish everyone to stay safe, stay healthy, and stay driven. And thank you again, Mehnaz Khan, for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.